I welcome all the panelists. I welcome all the very master chef out here. This is Danush representing Panatech Media House. What is Panatech Media House? Panatech is a multimedia information platform. We are independent media house that offers reliable source of news. And we do work on information and interesting articles. We also offer genuine experience across an excellent portfolio of media out there. But today, we're doing a webinar on an amazing, interesting topic. It's Chef Special. We're all the foodies and foodies out there that are actually waiting to hear out the best cooks out there. Well, the first speaker of the media house would be Ajay Chopra, sir, who is also a consultant, chef, and a TV representative. I would like to call upon Ajay Chopra, sir.
Hi guys, whoever is listening to this webinar, first of all, welcome all of you. I hope you're all well and you're safe at home, or if you're not at home, then wherever you are, but you are safe. These are unprecedented times, and none of us expected that we all will be meeting like this. One-off cases of meetings like this was always heard of, but I think if you talk about me, I'm having a meeting like this almost every day. We are in a new era, a new age. But before we kind of come to, the new era and the new age, just talk a bit about myself, my journey and how did I start and where did I kind of begin. So my career started with IHM Goa. This is where I studied. So, Kunal's got a big smile that Goa is. So Goa has a big part to play, Kunal, in my life. 3 years in Goa, obviously studied IHM there, but didn't get a job. My first job from there on was in TGI Fridays as a prep cook. I joined very humbly on a salary of 2,300 odd rupees. I still remember that. And 7 months later, I moved to Cecil Shimla as a commie with a 300 rupee increase. So I was very kicked that, I had that. From there on, I moved up in life. I moved to Mumbai. In JW Marriott. This was in 2003, for about 4.5 years, and then moved to London for about three odd years. We lived there, me and my wife, and then we came back in 2009. That's where again, life took a big turn where MasterChef approached me, and I got judging MasterChef season 1, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. Just about a year and a half later, I moved to Mumbai and I worked as the executive chef of the West Inn in Mumbai for about 4.5 years, and then I decided to leave hotels and start our own company where we would consult restaurants and we would give gyan basically, and that's what I'm doing right now. So this has been my journey. Now post 2010, a lot changed because right from just being a chef in a kitchen to then being a chef in the kitchen, plus being on television, plus doing live shows. A lot changed in terms of the personality, in terms of the cuisine, in terms of food, in terms of my knowledge, because we started to interact with the real India and started to know Indian food in the totality of it. So this has been my journey, guys, and thank God for every single thing that has happened. I had many rough patches whilst I was coming this far, but I'm sure that all of us have our journeys. But I just want to thank God for every single step that He took care of me. So that's been my journey. Now, talking about, I think the topic which has been kind of given to me is the future of restaurants and the F&B industry from here on. A turn like this, is unexpected, unthought of, uncalculated, unbudgeted. And none of us would ever kind of think in our wildest dreams that any restaurant or hotel which has the capacity to function 24/7, 365 days will be shut down for 3 to 4 months and then will come back to life. Now that is something almost like a man dying and coming back to life in 3 to 4 months. I know of one man who can do it. His name is Jesus Christ, who raised the dead, because I believe in him. Uh, but here we are talking about dead restaurants. So we really need to look at God sustaining us and surviving us in this time. But the very fact that a restaurant is run by a very hard P&L, which is a profit and loss statement, and the biggest of all the expenses is staff and rental. So between the staff and rental, almost 30% of your spendings are amounted. So which means that if you're going to spend, if you have a restaurant in BKC, BKC is Bandra Kurla complex in Mumbai. So if you have a restaurant in BKC, your average rental will be about 12 to 15 lakhs plus GST, which will go up to about 18, 19 lakhs. Your staff cost would be about 7 to 8 lakhs. And out of the 50 to 60 lakhs that you're spending, 25 lakhs is what is amounting to your staff and your rental. Now, with COVID, both of these did not get a relaxation in any form. Neither the government thought about it, neither the government gave a relaxation. They possibly gave a moratorium, but the moratorium with interests means more money to be given eventually. And at the same point of time, the staff was just left on the owner's behest that, you take a decision on how it is. I know of my friends who are living abroad. They've got 80% of their salaries from the government. I'm talking about UK. Also about Canada, Australia, all of them have got their salaries, from the government. There's a big package that was given, and that's how, they were all given salaries. But in India, that's not happened, which means that most of the staff members were either not given salary, or were on leave without pay, or were given a very small amount of their salary, or just asked to go. So basically, we've lost out on some very good skill, because now they are in their village, and hoping not to come back, or hoping to come back much later. So staffing, which actually is the foundation of restaurant industry, has taken up. The restaurant owners are grappling with the rentals, with the expenses which are still running. Although electricity might not be there, food costs might not be there, beverage costs might not be there, but there are running costs which a restaurant always tends to incur. Now, with all of this going on, 50 to 60% of restaurants might take it. The others might have to shut shop forever. Now, that's the hard fact that we are going to face. But what has happened is that a lot of restaurants have become smarter, and they've started delivery lines and delivery chains. Right from Noma to Grand Acats, I'm seeing trends that, big chefs like them are also coming down to ground basics. They are delivering and they are making burgers, so it's no longer about fancy, thoughtful food. It's about sustenance. So I was reading a book reading an article, and Jack Ma, who is the Alibaba guy, happens to say that if in 2020 and 2021, if you are able to sustain and survive and not close your doors, consider that you have won this battle. So I think that is the most critical part, that if we are able to survive this whole time without shutting doors, without letting our staff go, without making any major amends, I think we won the battle. Because we all know that once the vaccine arrives, things are going to be very, very different. So it is just about that we have to take broken down steps. There will be new normal for now. There'll be new normal in the current future, and there'll be a new normal for the future. So for example, when I say this, I just want to kind of take an example and say that when 9/11 struck New York, post that, every single car was being sniffed by dogs in hotels. And that wasn't a normal before. That was kind of unheard of. But post that, it became a normal. Every time you will go to a 5-star hotel, your car will be sniffed by a dog. You will have 5 people checking your car, going right inside. All of that started to happen in malls as well as in hotels. But with COVID, I think a lot of normals are yet to happen. A few of them that are being predicted are that, obviously every single person who's entering the restaurant, his or her temperature would be recorded, his or her travel history would be recorded, contactless menus, contactless service, no close proximity interactions by the servers to the guests. All of this are things that will happen in the near future. Also, what will happen is a lot of dine in will happen than dine out, so which means that the restaurants which are closing down might not ever come back. But like, a lot of philosophical talks say that at the end of the tunnel there is a light. So the light in the end of this tunnel is that once the vaccine comes in, hey, we are a happy industry. We serve food which makes people happy, and people are in continuous search of happiness. So we will bounce back more than before. So if we had 100 restaurants in a city, guess what? Maybe 2 years later we will have 200 of them. So I think that's the ray of hope that we are all kind of waiting for, because everybody is frustrated cooking at home for this long without any maids, without any help. Yeah, it all looks good on Instagram that I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but guess what? Everybody is saying like, I'm done. Can we just go back to normal life? So I think people are waiting for it, but again, people are scared of how is it going to happen? Will the restaurants be safe? Will it be okay to be just like that? So I think those fears will coexist with our existence right now. The other factor is that if a restaurant has to survive, the government is kind of implying some rules, like if you were a 100-cover restaurant, then you got to operate as a 50-cover restaurant. Now, I made that restaurant considering 100 covers. So I'm paying a rental for 100 covers. I'm expecting a return for 100 covers, but I can't run it for 50 covers, which means that I will have to increase my meal timing. So restaurants which are only open for dinner might also open for lunch, might also open for breakfast, might also open all night. So the government will have to look into a 24/7 restaurant business eventually, because I think people will try and make do with whatever time they have. You can't change 24/7 clocks, but you can change what happens in those 24/7 clocks. So I think these are my few bits that I wanted to kind of speak about during this COVID times. I think post-COVID there is a lot more that is still expected, but I think we can have an interesting engagement. Let's not have one speaker after the other. I think there is Kunal, there is Payal and Gaurav already here, so maybe we can hear their views as well, and then we can chat on that.
That was really amazing to hear about the life of a particular chef being running on post-COVID situations. I really like the way you gave an example about profit and loss, and then about the tunnel of the light where you've been ending at. Every chef has been going, because what actually is going on, the restaurants which are shut now, the happy time we spend in the restaurants, we miss them. And because of the social distancing, right, we're not supposed to go and sit on a table, gather around, have a good time with the family. It's all missing, sir. And I would like to ask you, how did you choose the life of a chef in Goa? Like, how did you choose this path? Like, how did you become this master chef?
I chose to become a chef. People made me master chef. Let's keep it like that. I chose to become a chef when I was almost. I think I'm just trying to put back my memory lane. I chose to become a chef obviously after my 12th class, but cooking was something that kind of interested me when I was 9 years old. I was with my mother in the kitchen, seeing what she was doing, and was very interested. But at that point in time, I had no idea that there is a future and a prospectus career that you could possibly make with cooking. And as things revealed and opened, this opportunity came. I was studying for medical entrances. I also gave a NIHM, not NIHM, sorry, NCHM exam, and then IHM Goa happened.
That was really amazing to know about your cooking. How did you start your career? Even it's just not like some kind of a talent where we come up and learn for 6 to 7. Cooking is a passion. You have to give your life into cooking. That is how the cooking has been started out in everyone's life. And yes, the way you told, like everyone is fed up cooking at their home, that is actually true, because even we are self-experienced about that. The maids are coming down. The life of a chef is something about, it's like you, like how we said, finding a tunnel, finding a light at the end of the tunnel. That's really an amazing life. I just want to like I want you to give a small note for all the aspiring chef out there, because they're all youth in the attendance, like who wants to become chef. What do you say for them?
Well, so I think this is a great time for you guys to enter the industry. Um, don't worry about, if you don't get a job for the next 1 or 2 years. It's all right. The world is not crumbling down. We have now seen the worst, the worst the world can see. The whole world shutting down for 3 to 4 months. Yes, we lost lives, but the whole world did not come crumbling down. So it's okay if you don't do anything for the next 2 months, right? I mean, big business professionals did not do much in the next 2 months or the last 2 months. Nothing really happened. So first of all, don't worry. Okay, none of this situation is going to be forever. But what you must do is, you must invest your time right from today, and not thinking that tomorrow will be tomorrow, but right from today you must start investing your time in learning new skills. And as a chef, the learning never ends. Even today I want to learn more. And I want to continue to learn in every aspect. Is this today I learned that you could actually cook sweet potato leaves and eat them. My wife was growing something, and she got two sweet potatoes with a whole lot of jar. And I was like, I've never used them, so I tried to eat a small leaf out of it. Tasted quite off, but then when she cooked it, it's quite tasty. So the thing is that every day life will throw challenges at you. All you need to do is be prepared for it. So you got to continue to learn. You got to continue to start doing new things. You got to come out of your comfort zone. And I'm speaking all of this not because I am out of my comfort zone all the time. I love my comfort zone sometimes, but I have pushed myself in life to come out of my comfort zone. And I think that is possibly one of the reasons that I sit here and talk to you. So no one, is a born hero or a born leader or a born great chef. You've got to become that. So every day is a new day. One of my mentors used to tell me that if you learn 6 or 7 new things in one day, there are 2,100 new things that you learn in 1 month. Think about 1 year and think about the next 10 years. The calculator is all yours. So continue to keep learning new things every day. And I'm speaking to my own self as well, again, as a reminder, not just to you. So, yeah.
Yes, that was amazing to hear about the words from your mentor. That actually that inspired me to learn some many things per day. And the note you gave for all the aspiring chefs out there, that was really amazing to hear about them. I guess M number of chefs show up after the quarantine. I'm sure about this, because we're all trying to impress someone on Instagram by cooking something good. I just want to ask one more last question, saying that which is your favorite dish that you would like to sit and have it so deliberately?
Sorry, I lost the last part. Which is my favorite dish?
Yes, you like to have it with your family, like that's the best thing you can cook, like the one of the best dish among all of it.
After quarantine,
Yes, sir, it's after quarantine, before quarantine, the best dish the whole ever.
I'm just saying this is a joke, right? So After quarantine, the list has turned into 1,000 dishes that I would love to eat with my family outside. I think both me and my wife and all our children, we love dim sums, and I would love to go to any good.
That's amazing to hear about your best dish out there too, sir. And Kunal sir, Payal ma'am, and Gaurav Chopra sir, do you have any questions to the sir? You can ask them out. Just unmute, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you're online.
Chef Chopra, first of all, I would like to say that your talk on the F&B industry was really amazing, very, very insightful, and I really loved your spark and energy. You know, I keep hearing so many negative things about the F&B industry, but your talk actually gave me a ray of hope. Now, this comes as a consumer because currently I don't run a restaurant, I don't have a food outlet, but I saw hope in your eyes. And to see hope in the eyes of a person who's currently running a business itself, it's something very, very positive. So thank you for infusing so much positivity in the session. I'll remember this session for a long time to come.
Thank you. Now that's nice to hear.
Kunal sir, do you
I
have
have
any?
a question. Danush, one second. Chef,
Yes.
I have one question.
Yeah.
After you became a part of Master Chef, if you had to choose one thing which really impacted you as a person, what would that be? Because you spoke about how you started looking at food differently, but on the personal front, was there one big change that really impacted you?
Humanity.
Impacted you personally at a personal level?
Humanity.
Humanity. Okay.
I mean, as chefs, we can become very stereotype, and in our kitchens, knowing that we are the best and we know it all, and sometimes we can really behave like idiots. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, I have behaved like one many times, and we could be rude and brash to people, and thinking that we know it all. But MasterChef showed us that the skill we acquired by going to a college is the same skill somebody has honed over a number of years. The only difference is that they didn't go to a college and I went to one. But they're also cooking great food. I'm also cooking great food. Now, I can't compare a croquembouche to a nalli nihari. I can't. But both of them got great skills to make. If I can make a croquembouche and they can make a nalli nihari, I got to give them the same respect as I am expecting them to give to me. It's not that I can make a croquembouche and you can't, which means that I'm the chef and you're not. So I think that was something that got very, very clear in my head, that every guy and every person who's cooking good food and great food deserves respect.
Wow, chef. Wow. Thank you.
That is
Chef, I have a question.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Why did you leave London?
Okay. So this Kunal looks like a very personal question. Maybe you were in London as well.
I was with Chef Vineet Bhatia, yes. That's why.
Let me ask you, why did you leave London?
No, I felt that like as a pastry chef, I felt that I'd run the course, because in like there was a point in my life where I realized that after this there's nothing more left for me to achieve in London, because I would be barred because of many other reasons.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I came back to India. In India, I realized that more opportunity, and I'm very happy to be back in India now, back in hometown.
I had a few reasons. One of them was that my wife was pregnant, and we did not get the nicest treatments at NHS. They work in their own manner, and they were we were not used to it. We were used to the fact that if you are feeling something, go to the doctor, give money, get healed, come back. But there you got to wait. So that was something that we couldn't go through, and especially when we were expecting our first child, and we didn't want to take any risk. So that was one reason. But the other reason also was that I saw Chef Atul Kochar and Chef Bhatia, and they had given about 15 years to that country. But since it was so competitive that they took 15 years to reach where they reached, I kind of questioned myself that can I do this for 15 years? What will I be after 15 years? So I think the answer was no, and that's why I came back. So very similar. Second reason, very similar to yours, but the first reason was more imperative.
It's a very good
Good to hear your
question.
story, chef. Very inspiring.
Thank
And
you.
very, very happy to know that someone from IHM Goa is. I didn't know you from IHM Goa. I originally thought you from IHM Bombay.
Okay. Okay.
IHM Goa is very happy to have alumni like you. I'm not from IHM Goa. I'm from IHM Calcutta, but IHM Goa is very happy to have alumni like you.
Thank
We are
you.
in fact one of the best equipped colleges today in India in terms of culinary and in terms of patisserie. I mean, as a pastry chef, they are one of the only IHMs I know that has got a running sheeter, two kinds of ovens. They have a convection fan oven, they have a deck oven, they have, I mean, the whole 9 yards. I think Principal Rock, who was there before, has really, before he retired, he kitted out the entire college amazingly.
Yeah, Rock De Cruz was a visionary for sure. Yeah, but in our times, I think the conveniences were really small and very basic. But yeah, we thank God for that college. I think foundations are always important.
That was amazing interaction between all the speakers out there. I guess you're getting all the good amount of college memories and your kind of personal things through this webinar. And yes, we'll get back to the webinar sessions again, the Master Chef special. And we have the next speaker right now. Thank you so much, Ajay Chopra, sir. You can stay online and ask questions. The next speakers out there. Thank you so much. And the next speaker is, we have Payal Gupta, who is a food stylist and also a Tedx speaker. We welcome you for the session, ma'am.
Thank you, Dhanush. Thank you so much for that warm reception. I'm so glad that I could be a part of this session on Zoom. And thank you, Planetech Media, for roping me in for this session. Thank you, the audience. Thank you to all the audience who've taken their precious time out to be here. I know each of you must be having your own challenges in running your home and businesses. So know that as a team, we are all praying for you, and we hope that the situations get back to normal very soon. So with that, I would just like to introduce myself to the audience and to the other members who have joined us for the Zoom meeting. So I'm a chef and a food stylist. And prior to joining the food industry, I used to work as a qualitative researcher. It was back in 2008 that I quit the corporate industry and I jumped into the field of food. And I've been styling since then. Till date, I have styled for more than 200 food brands globally, and I completely enjoy the process of styling food. Now, over the years, I was fortunate enough to have my work and myself mentioned in major tabloids like the Hindu, Times of India, and Lokmat, to name a few. I also won a couple of awards alongside. So one of the awards was by Femina and World Women Leadership Congress, labeling me as a super achiever, and the other one was from Social Samosa, labeling me as a superwoman. Now, what these awards do to me as a person is reinforce in me the fact that the decision I took 12 years back was rather a good one, even though it didn't seem great back then. But today I'm so proud that I took that leap 12 years back and joined the food industry. It's been an amazing ride for me. And it was in 2019 that I also got to share my journey as a food stylist on the Tedx platform. And that was a very beautiful experience that I still cherish. So today I have decided to speak about a topic called the art of creation. And without any further delay, I'm going to jump straight into this topic. So let me start with a small quote from George Bernard Shaw. He once said that there is no love sincerer than the love for food. And like him, I believe that there is no art form that equals to the joyous appeal of food. Now, have you wondered that when we pull together a bunch of people, after a given point in time, they start discussing the subtleties of their cuisine? Put together a bunch of Bengalis. Actually, Bengal is a land that I come from. And after a point in time, all the Bengalis will debate. Yes, they'll debate about the intricacies of Bengali cooking. Put together students from different parts of India, And after some time, I am sure they are going to be discussing about which state makes the best golgappas. Now, do you realize that after a given point in time, all of us have a particular opinion about food? We tend to like either a given technique of food or a particular food item. But know that there is an invisible umbilical cord that attaches our tummies to food. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise because food is a very unifying experience. It's the most primitive experience because none of our celebrations are complete without the cooking and consumption of food. Now, there's been a lot that I have read in my journey as a chef and food stylist being written about the art of cooking. But I have rarely come across articles that speak about how one can transform an ordinary cook into a gastronomic artist. Now, so I thought that this would be perhaps the best platform to talk about this. Now, if you really want to make your journey a gastronomical delight, there are three principles I feel you could explore or stick to. Now, I have personally aligned these principles in my life, value, and work, and I have found great benefit in them. So, my first principle would be having a visualization and setting goals for yourself. Now, when you set goals for yourself, make sure that you keep revisiting your goals from time to time. This is because it keeps you mentally strong and it gives you the courage to pursue them. Now, when you set up your goals, also understand that the bigger goals, needs to be broken into small, achievable steps. This is because you need to see success as you go along. But also understand that there will be surprises on the way. Life is not perfect. You know, the things you set up for yourself, they might change. So embrace the changes. Personally, if I pick up some snippets from my journey, when I decided to follow styling, there are two things that I primarily did. I enrolled myself in a culinary school because I was not coming from a trained cooking background. Cooking was something that I had followed as a passion and a hobby when I was a kid. And I had cooked for a relatively very long period of time as a teenager also. So I first realized that I need to polish my skills in cooking. So I enrolled myself at Sophia's first and then at Dadar IHM, post which I even went to the prestigious Le Cordon Bleu to train to be a chef. So I studied both cuisine and patisserie there. Post that, I came back to India and worked for Taj Lands End for a small amount of time. Alongside this, I even worked as an apprentice food stylist for some time. Now, even though at the beginning I thought that for achieving my goals, these two steps would be appropriate and that's all I would need, I slowly realized that there were a lot of soft skills I needed to learn. Things like team management, team leadership, client management, time management, and things like selecting the right props when I was styling food. So, all I can say is when you set your goals, make sure that when there are changes, you embrace them rather than running away from them. Because in embracing these changes, you will move one step towards your goals. Now, the second principle that we can follow or align ourselves to would be commitment. Now, more often than not, we are very fired up, very enthusiastic when we are starting a venture in our life. But after a given point in time, fears and doubts creep into us. Now, either we can look at it as a stumbling block and stop right there, or we can take it head on. We can look into the eyes of fear and keep continuing with our journey. Now, I remember when I was training in the culinary school to be a chef, my chef would give me he would give me an activity like cutting vegetables precisely because I was studying in a French school and they're very particular about it. I used to get irritated quite a bit about doing this. But once I got over the notion of cutting vegetables precisely as a stumbling block, and I started to invest my time in cutting vegetables precisely post my schooling hours, it became like an asset whose benefit I continue to reap even today when I style food. So, on that note, I would like to tell you that if you ever face a challenge, do not get stopped. Keep moving. There's a very famous quote from uh, one of the authors, American authors and writers whom I follow a great deal. He says, inaction breeds fear and doubt, and action gives you courage and confidence. And if you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. And trust me, it's been my mantra. Also, a word of caution, when we are going ahead with our commitments, suddenly we get swayed away by the opinions of others. So, my advice would be that stay completely 100% committed to your vision. Because in doing that, you will be following your own inner calling and you will be living a life that you have envisioned for yourself and not living a life that people think you should be living. You know, on this front, I would like to mention a Bengali movie which I recently saw. It's called Mache Jhol. Now, for people who don't know what Mache Jhol is, it is basically fish curry. Now, in the movie, there's a chef who thinks that if he squeezes orange juice in the fish curry, the dish is going to be a unique one. The movie, after it was launched, won a lot of positive reviews, not only for the script, but also for the recipe. So know that if you have a unique talent, it will always be recognized, it will always be in demand. So to cook or make something amazing, you first need to believe that you have a unique talent for it. Know that there will never be another person on this planet who will have your abilities. So when you work, live and cook to appease your soul. And the third and the most important principle that you could follow, that you could choose to follow in this art of creation, to create a truly gastronomical delight for yourself would be resilience. Now, a lot of times, our goals are very well planned and we start seeing success way too early. Now, as we are climbing the ladder, suddenly we get stopped. We think it's okay, we can go slow, but don't stop there. Keep climbing the ladder till you go to the topmost rung. Now, please understand that complacency is like the biggest enemy for success. And in case you do not receive the success that you envisaged, then do not blame yourself or blame people around you. It's okay to fail. Be okay about it. Now, everybody, right from Julia Child to yours truly, we've been failing and learning through the process. Most of you might be knowing about this British celebrity chef, Jamie Oliver. And recently he quoted that even till date, he fails 40% of the times. And each time he fails, he keeps asking himself, what is the lesson that he's learned from it? So guys, if you fail, understand the loopholes and give yourself a second, third, or a fourth chance so that you can transform your vision into a delicious reality. Know that your life is like a canvas in which you can build a castle of your own making. Now, it's right up to you what you create out of it. Now, life is actually very, very beautiful. So do not get troubled by situations that come in front of us. Remember that as chefs, you have the powerful ability. It is the ability to cook. It is the ability to create something really beautiful. Now, cooking, similar to life, thrives on ownership. So own up your life. And if you are living a life that you are not really happy about, go change it. Remember, life is not about cooking dishes. It's about creating beautiful memories with yourself and others through this wonderful world of food. And it is through this uplifting process of creation that you become an artist. So go explore the world of cooking, and have a wonderful life.
That was really amazing to talk about how the principles which you have mentioned about, ma'am. I really felt so inspired by listening to all the principles about what you have been mentioned. I do have a lot of questions to you, ma'am. Like, from a corporate sector to as a professional food stylist, how did that happen?
I joined the corporate world in 2004, and the first few years I was very happy doing whatever I was doing, because as a qualitative researcher, my job was to travel to various parts of India and interview people about various products that they were using in their day-to-day life. And I would do mystery shopping, day in life, blind tasting formats with people. So there was never a dull day in my life, Life was always full with colorful experiences. However, over a period of time, I realized that that's not really something that I want to do in my life, because I felt that a sense of monotony was kind of creeping into my life. The same 9 to 5 kind of a job or working on Sundays was really not doing very well to my mental and physical health. And I felt that I was really not following my true calling. So I had to take a step back and decide what is it that I wanted to do back then. Also, as a child, I was always very artistic. So I decided that why not do something in the field of art? Of course, Dhanush, at that point in time, I wasn't too clear about the perfect choice of field that I would embrace. I was more or less sure that the field would be related to art. Yeah, and food would be a part of it. But how to fuse art and food was something that I wasn't really sure about. And there's one more factor that, I had grown up in a joint family of 21 people, and my home was always full of activities. There was never one day which went without the sights and smells of wonderful food. And my mother and grandmother, they were excellent cooks. So the food cooked by them always seemed to delight me a lot. I used to also feed on a lot of food photographs as a kid. So somewhere at the back of my head, beauty of food was something that I got attracted to very much as a kid. And the third and a very important thing was the fact that I come from a business family. So, I've always seen my father and grandfather, be at the helm of affairs, be like the big boss and take decisions. So suddenly I was also like kind of getting a little uneasy about reporting to my bosses, even though they were really nice people. But I actually craved to be my own boss. So I think that was it. So I decided to leave my job. And yeah, of course, when I was leaving my job, I really didn't have a clear picture of my life. But I told myself that I'm going to take it very easy and figure out something for myself with a slightly emptier mind.
That was amazing to hear about your own life from corporate sector to and professional, your own food stylist company to be established. And you also mentioned about build your own castle. Yes, ma'am. I guess you have been successfully built your own castle. I'm so happy to see that done. And you mentioned about the example of Golgappas. Yes, we and the argument every state in India happens is that the weddings are just for food. No matter what, we will never miss. We might miss missing the couple out there, but we will never miss the food in every Indian wedding, if I'm not wrong. So you also mentioned about Bengalis. So Bengalis wedding are especially for the sweets and their non-vegetarian fish. What do you like the most in a Bengali variety, ma'am? What do you like the most?
Oh, I wish you could lock me in a sweet shop and I could just gobble up all the Bengali sweets. I could stay there forever. I mean to say, till date, all the Bengali mithais are something I completely drool over. I just can't get enough of them. The day I have a sweet craving, I don't eat chocolates. I order sweets from Sweet Bengal, which is literally like my next door neighbor and my nearest connection with Bengal, my city of love and joy. So one of my favorite things from Bengal, not actually one, I could name many, but I love the puchkas. They're not actually called golgappas, they're called puchkas. And they are from this place called New Market. The puchkas are amazing, and so is the jhalmuri with that little mustard oil, pungent mustard oil. And I like the chena paish, which is, the small dumplings, cottage cheese dumplings inside the sweet milk.
Okay, okay, yeah.
So yeah, I could actually just take a can of it and drink it. Not eat it, but drink it actually.
That I could figure out that you're among the best foodies. Everybody likes to have that their own taste to be melted around there in the mouth. Even I love that thing to be happening around. And ma'am, you mentioned about the team management. You mentioned about the life management. How did you communicate to your own staff saying that you wanted this output coming out as a food stylist?
See, Dhanush, first of all, we need to understand that uh, the staff is not skilled enough to understand your vision of food, right? These are mere workers who have skills like cooking great food, but to understand your vision about creating a beautiful plate is something that they might not understand. So you have to break up the objective for them into smaller steps, right? So let's say if I have to style a plate of biryani, I am not going to tell them, give me XYZ to make the biryani beautiful. I am going to simplify the task for them. I'll tell them this rice first needs to be cooked in a certain way. I write down the process for them with the timings. So soak the rice for XYZ time. After you drain it, this is what you do next, right? So you guide them step by step, because people cannot take in too much information at the same point in time. After they have finished or accomplished that particular task, I go on to the next task with them. So it's a step by step approach with the staff. Also, we follow an assembly line process. So we have people in various positions. So, we use the person with maximum skills to do the most difficult jobs. And things like picking up the right spice for the rice can be given to people who are slightly less senior, so that there is a proper clear cut division of labor and everything goes smoothly. Ultimately, when everybody is done their job, what I do is basically assemble everything, and that's when I sit down to style that plate of food.
That was
I also do one more thing, Dhanush. I put out a picture of the food.
oh,
Uh, I put out a representation of the picture that I would like to present to the camera to give it to my director. So I kind of explained to them visually that, see, this is what I want to achieve. So this is what you're supposed to do. Because if you don't share a picture with the staff, they will not be able to imagine what the final output should be, right?
yes, that was amazing that it goes by step process so that the food doesn't look so messy. It looks perfect, simplified, and decent. So beautiful. Like as soon as you can sense the taste of the food once you see it. That is what the food stylists are meant for. And ma'am, we want to know your best recent experiences you had working with your own hands.
I was shooting for Incredible India, and I was shooting in the land of Kochi.
Wow.
Now, when first of all, it's the place, just completely envelopes you in its beauty. Now,
Yeah.
I went there with my bag, happily thinking, oh, it's going to be a very easy shoot, and the crews promised me all kinds of facility, and all I have to do is just decorate maybe about 100 dishes, and I was ready for that challenge. But once I reached there, we realized that we have to shoot cuisines of 8 different states in Kochi itself by making various sets, which of course is not my task, something that the art department would do. And we realized that it would be very difficult to procure the food items that we wanted, which would represent these states in Kochi. So suddenly it became like a nightmare, because now I had to cook all the dishes, right? Now, being the perfectionist I am, I refuse to compromise on my standards. And with just 48 hours away from shoot, I started to get a little jittery about how will I manage that experience. Now, styling teaches you one thing. It teaches you to take risk. It teaches you to be brave. So a list was given to me, and I was asked to replicate all those dishes. From there was this one dish called bibinka, which of course we couldn't just make anywhere. It requires a proper kitchen and it requires an oven. So I called up Taj Kochi and I asked them if they would help me make bibinka. They happily agreed. And when I went to pick up the bibinka from Taj Kochi, I suddenly found somebody tapping me on my shoulder and asking me what I was doing there. I turned back and I realized it was one of my acquaintances from Taj. And upon hearing that this is what I was facing, he said the entire Taj is open to you. Take my manpower, take the raw materials, take the location, and just make sure that you deliver. Now, till date, that's been a great experience because it kind of reinforces your belief in humanity and also the fact that if you think about something, anything is possible, right? Now, what happened next was I started to prep in the hotel kitchen. I flew down some of my own people and we shifted the shoot by 2 days. Ultimately, we landed up shooting for all those 8 states. We even, made makeshift kitchens on the streets of Kochi. We requested restaurant owners to allow us to cook. And ultimately, if you see the end result of the shoot, one can't even imagine that this is the scale of work that went behind it. So I was shooting on a boat, I was shooting inside a restaurant, I was shooting on the streets, I was shooting in a club. So I was shooting almost everywhere. And in none of the places there was a proper kitchen. But hats off to all the people who helped me, hats off to the human spirit that we were able to pass this. And each time I see that commercial, I feel so much gratitude for Taj Kochi, Taj as an organization, and I feel gratitude for life. So that was one big episode that I remember. The recent one was from the shoot of Fortune, which we did with Akshay Kumar. So I remember making this wonderful pot of biryani and placing the biryani along with a plate of biryani next to him. And the director walked in and said, "Sir, you have to just behave as if you're eating it." He had a look at the biryani. Then he looked up and he said, "कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं डाला ना?" I said, "No, sir. खा सकता हूँ." "Yes, sir." He just started eating that biryani and he told everybody to stop. And the director looked at my face and said, "What is this? I wish you would have cooked food that was tasteless." And the shooting was stalled for half an hour because Akshayji was busy eating the biryani. Post that, I even got calls about making the same pot of biryani and sending it over to his house. So, generally styling is about making the food appear beautiful, not taste good. Because see, honestly, all the styled food is for television. You're shooting it. You're in actual way, you're really not consuming it. Of course, we do make food consumable and tasty when there are shots of the protagonist eating it, right? But, to be, appreciated for your work like this from a celebrity who generally would never eat food on a shoot itself was very gratifying. And another episode I remember was when I was shooting with SRK. First of all, I was very scared that SRK is going to be around and the food should look really nice. The shoot was for Ken Star. So while I was busy prepping the food and laying the table, there's somebody who walks in from the back, peeps over my shoulders, and says, "The food looks great." Now, not knowing that it was SRK, I said, yeah, baad mein baat karte hain. SRK is going to be on the shoot very soon. And suddenly I just looked back and I realized it's SRK himself. And I just stepped back, so it was nice. So what really happens is, that when your work gets appreciated by a lot of celebrities or actors or directors, you feel that you're in the right space. Because it was a big challenge for me to leave my corporate job, cushy corporate job 12 years back. I was reduced to earning from a six-figure salary to almost like a zero for a very long period of time. There were days I couldn't pay my electricity bill. I didn't have house rents. And each day I only thought that, like how Ajay Chopra sir said that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I kept reminding myself to be very, very positive. And yes, believing in the art of creation that I spoke about. So I did have goals. I did follow them with commitment and resilience. And there were lots of fears and doubts, on the way. At times, I actually felt that I should quit and take up a job to be able to live a sane life. But each time my work was appreciated, it was like the belief in the craft was reinforced. So there'll be many, many instances, I could just keep blabbering about it. There was a recent shoot with Alia Bhatt, and she looked at the entire food and said, I hope nothing happens to me if I eat this because it looks so yummy that I really want to eat this. Now imagine if the food can make somebody salivate, then this means you've done your job really well.
Perfect. That's actually like when someone likes to have the whole pot of biryani, they would scare, like when they're celebrated, they're scared where will they grow more calories around because they can't stop eating with one or two spoons. I'm really eagerly waiting to have a taste one of your food, mom. I really love to do that, and the way you expressed your feelings and your perfection ideas during the Kwachi thing, I really loved it. That was amazing having a conversation with you on this webinar session. And any other speakers do have any questions to ask for Payal Gupta ma'am? You're all open.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, hi Kunal, hi.
So it's actually very, very, it's a very humble, it's very humbling to understand that, a person can go from a corporate job, to a career change and then get to the, get to pinnacle in their career, in a new career. It's very uplifting for me basically because we deal with a lot of people at our academy like that. A lot of people who come to baking, they come after, like 10 years as a lawyer or 10 years as an engineer. I don't know, but do you think, like a little bit of career guidance is lacking? I think at a class 12 or a class, 10 level, where people generally don't listen to their kids. I think that's a big problem for us in Goa because in Goa we don't have that much of opportunity. The thing is, we are very restricted to tourism-based or mining-based or whatever industry exists in Goa. Like our kids' careers are usually based on those kind of profiles, those kind of career profiles. But like a very inspiring thing, like for example, like what you're doing, or like a creative designing, or like web designing, or for any creative field, like an artist for that matter, or a musician. I think that these career paths, if they are if they are encouraged at a very early age, like for example like around like 10, 9 years, I think people will really reach their pinnacle very fast, and then they'll get to something really bigger. So you will see a lot of more creativity come out in India in general. I mean, we are seeing it now. So I'm very fortunate to be in this group with a person like you because I had also been on a couple of shoots with Chef Nitin Tandon, and what I learned from as a chef, what we understand about food takes a full 360-degree turn when it comes to styling. So like we look at fresh, it's very nice, very tasty, and all that goes out the window when you're supposed to take a food shot. So in a food shot, it has to look more yummy. It has to, so I never knew how to work with more yummy. So we would get instructions like more yummy banao. So we don't know how to make it more yummy because it's like that's how I would do it. But I think if a lot of focus is given to us early on, I think and there isn't even till date. Sadly, even till date, there isn't like a proper course. There isn't like a proper food styling course. I think why can't we have something like that inculcated in IHM? That's what I'm. So my question to you would be like do you think that students at an early age should be pushed into a career, or they should be guided into a career? That's my biggest question.
Kunal, so let me answer this way that, I think I understood what I really wanted to do when I was about 27 years old, right? Because at that point in time, you've become a slightly more mature adult. So even if we gave people career guidance, no, it takes a little while for people to really understand what they want to do, right? So of course, giving them the option of these multiple crafts, which it's going to open up their horizon, expand their horizon, and definitely they will think beyond medicine or engineering or going to, let's say, IIT or going to an IM, doing an MBA. But that really doesn't solve the problem. The problem is that we need to work with something to be able to understand whether it really will work or not work for us, right? So yesterday I had a webinar and somebody asked me, uh, how does one know that the field that you're choosing is the field for you? Now there's no clear cut way of understanding that.
Correct.
Once you get into that, and if you feel that even after a 20-hour long work day, you still feel the adrenaline rush to go and kill that the next day, you know that job is for you. So recently I was on two shoots back to back. So I was shooting for McDonald's and I was shooting for LG. So I went at 6 o'clock in the morning for McDonald's. I shot till the morning. Then again, I was on a shoot. Sorry. I started my preparations at 6 in the morning. I was on the set at 6 o'clock in the evening. I came out of the set the next day in the morning at 6. I reached my LG shoot at about 7:30. I shot for LG till 12 in the night. I came back for the McDonald's shoot in their outlet at 12 again. And I shot till 7. And I almost reached home after like 44 hours. Now, if you've been able to sustain that period with a smile on your face and you still want to do something, this means that thing is for you. So career guidance helps, but until unless you get your hands dirty, it's very difficult to understand, because sometimes, I've seen people like a particular vocation for a small period of time because all they think about, let's say, styling is that it's great, there's a lot of glamour. But the glamour quotient is actually, Kunal, only 5%. 95% is like back-breaking work. There are tons of planning that I need to do when I'm styling food, right? So, yeah, you could give career guidance to people, but there is a lot more desired. And about your second question, which was about having a food styling course. Now, Kunal, understand that throughout the world, there is no course because styling cannot be applied in a particular format. What happens is, based on the brand that you are working for, your objective will always keep changing, right? So how can you fix up the end result? So when I shoot for Britannia Good Day Chunkies, they might want cookies of a particular size. They might want certain cracks on the cookies. They might want certain colors. They want choco chips to look a certain way. But if I'm shooting for some other brand of cookie, all they might want was to show that the cookie puffs up well and looks very nice and brown. So that is why there is no school that teaches you this craft. You could have workshops to give people an overall view about styling, but to have a full-fledged school at this point in time looks a little uncertain. But yeah, styling could be introduced in all the culinary institutes to make people understand that apart from being a chef, this is what one can also get into. But styling has to be accompanied with a knowledge of photography, because ultimately the end result of styling is to produce a great picture, right?
Correct.
That was amazing to hear about two speakers having a conversation about a very good food has been decorated or getting into the McDonald's experience explained by Payal Gupta ma'am. Would like to call upon the next speaker. We would go further with the next speaker here. We have Gaurav Chawla, who is a corporate executive chief, who's also a Tedx speaker and an Awardee. We welcome you for the session, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you all?
Great.
Fine,
How
well.
are you?
I'm a bit low as of now, so just keep me. From yesterday night, I was feeling a bit low, so I will not be a very loud. So just bear it with me. All right. So I hope you all are keeping safe and taking good care of yourself. Chef Kunal, Payal Gupta. I know you. I haven't met you, Payal, right? But we have spoken over the call, and since I was in Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
Chef. Yeah. So Well, I hope you are keeping safe. Well, it's very unfortunate times for all of us that we as chefs and you're the food stylists, we always on our toes and we just want to just keep away. I mean, running here and there in the kitchen, taking a mark of the guest, getting the feedbacks. I think Chef Kunal will relate very well with me. I mean, we both share the same space, and I'm feeling very glad that I'm sharing the space with all of you. And just a brief about me. I'm Gaurav Chawla. I've started my career in the year 2008. So it's almost 12 years as of now. I started my career with Awardee. I was the hoster and worked there for 1.5 years. Well, choosing this career wasn't my choice. It was just by chance. So I was a medical student. I couldn't get through in the medical exams. My parents were after me that you have to choose your, maybe you can take a step back and a year back and then you can maybe apply again for the MBBS exam. But I couldn't. So my one of my friend was actually giving an exam of a hotel management school. So he told me that why don't you also come and just give it a try and let's see. So I just give it a try. I got a very good rank. I think Chef Kunal is smiling and maybe he has the same story to discuss with me. Many of the friends of me, I mean, he has the same story. Many of my friends who are the chefs as of now, they are the medical students. So I got 143 rank all over India in the IP University. So I actually thought that maybe somehow I can relate my MBBS, the food part, the nutrition part, I can relate somehow and maybe I can just take it along. So that was the first step that I've actually chosen this career. On the very first year, I don't have any incursion towards kitchen. I was very keen on the mixologist part and I do flaring as well. I do. So I was good in making good mocktails and cocktails. I was good in making beverages, even now also. So later on in the second year and in the third year, where I actually developed my skills and where I actually developed my interest into the kitchen. And there and then I have kickstart to the career and started my career with Oberoi's. Then I joined Hilton as a pre-opening team. Uh, Worked for Ashoka Hotel. I joined as a management trainee. Worked there for 3 years. I've resigned from there as a junior sous chef. Then I've joined as a sous chef for Farzi Cafe, massive restaurant in 2014. So my main forte was a European cuisine, but when I joined Farzi Cafe, I developed my skills to an interest to Indian cuisine. And there, that was a time where actually we introduced molecular gastronomy as well. So that was very new at that time, though it was done earlier as well in the Park Hotel in the year 2011 and 12. But I would say we were the pioneers who actually started molecular gastronomy with the Indian cuisine. So we have done numerous trials and on how we can come up with the combinations of the various aspects like spherification, emulsification, playing along with the chemicals, different chemicals, tools. So that's how I actually developed my interest in that and spent days and months and years to actually get hold on to that and a lot of practice on that. So I was quite enjoying my time. I got an opportunity to be a Tedx speaker where I have actually demonstrated molecular gastronomy. So I was the first one who actually demonstrated molecular gastronomy on the stage in front of 300 odd audience right in front of me. So that's a good opportunity for me that I've got. And so currently I'm working with this company called First Fiddle Restaurants. You might have heard of the name. The MD is Mr. Priyank Sukija. So he has multiple restaurants under him, naming from Lord of the Drinks, Open House Cafe, Warehouse Cafe, Diablo. That's a recently opened one in Mehrauli. And Laziz Affair, that's the oldest one. And some more. So today I'll be speaking on how you can utilize the food leftovers. I hope you all can hear me properly. If you have any, great, perfect. Because I'm actually speaking a bit low, so that's why I'm asking. So I'm sure all of us are making some really great food since we all are at home and making some brilliant foods. All the mothers are making some great food. I love the food of my mother. I can't make the food the way my mother cooks at home. So, and we generally prepare the food, no onion, no garlic. So we don't use onion and garlic at home. So I love the food that my mother prepares and all of us are preparing some great foods, I'm sure. But we're not actually utilizing the food leftovers, right? So I'll be giving some quick tips how you can utilize the food leftovers. These are some of the tips and tricks that I also use in my restaurant also. So whenever I peel some vegetables or onion peels or any vegetables or fruits, So I don't normally throw the peels of it. So I'll take a butchery bag or a garbage bag. I'll wash all the peels of the vegetable whatsoever. I'll wash it, rinse it 3 times, 4 times, just to make sure all it gets dust free and there should be no dust particles attached to it. And then I pack it up in a butchery bag, and then you can freeze it. So later on, we can use it in an application. We can actually boil it. So we take a liquid, we boil or we'll put in all the peels of the vegetables, and then we get a very nice flavorful liquid. We can put some bouquet garni on it. Like we can put some spices, cinnamon, cloves, fennel, whatever you want to. And then you can just rapidly boil it. And the outcome is a very flavorful liquid, which you can use in curries, stews, soups. So this is one part of it, that you don't really have to throw your peels, right? That's the most common thing we actually people do at home. The second comes in the juice pulp. So we're taking very healthy juices and we're throwing away the pulp. So recently I've made a burger out of the juice pulp. So whatever juice you actually make, the pulp that you retain of it, you actually reduce it, or maybe you can roast it, mix it with breadcrumbs, with your binding agent like potatoes, like cottage cheese, some flavoring of it, and you can make a nice patty of it. So you don't really have to throw your juice pulp. So that's the second tip. The third one is a pasta water. So many people like making the pasta at home. I recently make a video and make a YouTube channel as well, wherein I've shown that how you can make a pasta scrap from very scratch, without using onion, garlic, and without using egg as well, and without using wheat or maida as well. So that was pasta made of semolina only. So that was just semolina. So I made the pasta from semolina, and once you boil the semolina or the pasta, you don't really have to throw that water again, because it has a lot of starch into it. So that pasta water will help in giving you good nutrition. Also, it will give a good binding to your sauce. So that this way you can also preserve or reserve your pasta water, and you can use it later on. Okay, then comes the chicken skin. So this very popular dish I've actually made. I may not be able to show you over here. So I made my version of butter chicken. So that butter chicken has actually a chicken skin and a makhani mousse on top of it. So that is actually not the chicken I've taken. I've taken the chicken skin. I've actually flattened it, sprinkle some salt and pepper on top of it with some drizzle of olive oil, flatten it out, just place one silver foil on it, and put some heavy equipment or any tray, any GN pan on top of it, and just directly put it into the oven. So after a 20 minutes time at 180 degrees Celsius, you get a really nice crispy skin of chicken. So that replaced my chicken. The chicken skin replaced my chicken, and I made a makhani mousse. So that's butter chicken for me. So that's maybe you can say a high-end version, a Michelin star version of a butter chicken. So a chicken skin, it's like a canapé or a bruschetta. You can say a chicken skin and a makhani mousse on top of it. So this way you don't really have to throw your chicken skin as well. Okay, again, radish leaves. You take radishes at home. Okay, you're making some nice parathas or making some nice chutney out of it or relishes, but you're throwing away your radish leaves. You don't have to throw your radish leaves as well. Just wash it thrice or 4 times, and then you can make a nice sabji out of it. So this way you can preserve your all the fruits, vegetables. So whatever actually you're making, I've recently made a mango nectar as well. So generally what people do is they take the pits and peels of mango, just throw it away. So what I've done is I've taken the pits and peels of mangoes overnight, and I've sprinkled some sugar on top of it. Let's say if you have taken the pits and peels of 2 mangoes. So I put almost 5 to 6 tablespoons of sugar, the normal granulated sugar you put, and then you keep it overnight. On the other day, what you will get is the nice flavorful liquid. So that we call as a mango nectar. So that has multiple uses. You can use it in a trifle pudding. You can put your sponge fingers, dip the sponge fingers in that mango nectar to get the nice mango flavor. You can put that mango nectar into your sugar syrup. Maybe if you're making a jalebi, so you can put that mango nectar into the sugar syrup. You get a nice hint of mango in it. Also, you can make a nice sweet and sour chutney, or maybe you can make a nice sweet and sour vinaigrette as well. You can put some mustard, some olive oil, normal French vinegar, just a bit of sweetness of mango you can give. Also, I have recently made a watermelon chutney. So a lot of people are throwing away the watermelon skin. So a lot of people have confusion about what part we have to use for the watermelon. So the green part the outer green part that you see is not edible at all. So you just have to throw that very thin strip of the green watermelon skin. The white part is completely edible. So the white part you take, you can just chop it up just boil it and just take it out. So after boiling, what will happen is that white skin will get translucent. It will get transparent and translucent. Then you can make a nice tempering of the spices, maybe a punch foreign, and you can just put in your blanched watermelon, and you can make a nice radish chutney like a salsa. Also, you can make a nice tutti frutti that you actually see on top of ice creams and also. So you can just cook in the sugar syrup, chop the watermelon skin, put in the sugar syrup, and then you can just, if you want to, you can simply color it the way you want to. So you have actually got the nice watermelon application, which is very good to use, very healthy as well. And you can also make a watermelon halwa. So you can actually take the watermelon skin, just grate it, and just actually keep cooking it, broiling it till the time the moisture doesn't get evaporated. So these are the different tips and tricks that we can actually use and utilize all of the food leftovers. So there's actually no, I personally believe in zero wastage of food. So this way I've actually used and preserve all the leftovers in a much more effective way.
That was really an amazing thought of saying that utilizing the leftovers of the food. I don't know how the other panelists or the attendees felt. I actually felt mouth watering when you were specifying about that chicken on that little bit seasonings, all this. I really love that, and I really love that the watermelon chutney. I don't know, it's so kind of unique to know all kind of this leftovers. It is not even a direct ingredient. You're using all these indirect ingredients to get through this. That was really an amazing idea, and you gave a very good talk about that. And I just want to know about one good question. You wanted to be a medical student, and you ended up writing an hotel management exam, and you got a very top ranker. How did that life go on?
Well, that one must be in my destiny only, because as I've said earlier, I have no idea whatsoever that I'll be going into a hotel management school. I have appeared for an MBBS exam. I didn't get through it. I've got through an AI triple exam. That's an engineering exam. I've got almost around 19,000 rank all over India. I've got the admission in one of the engineering college in Chennai, but my parents at that time were not really keen to send me to Chennai at that very time. So one of my friends was actually giving an exam of hotel management. So I just like it. I mean, I just give it an exam in a hurry, and then I've cracked that exam and got a very good rank. So that's why I've seen that, okay, let's do it. Let's just not waste another year and on doing another MBBS exam and preparing for it. So I've just given an exam and I've cracked it. So that's why I've actually chosen that maybe I can relate my nutrition part that I've learned in my school days in 11th and 12th standard. Maybe I can relate that in my food part when I will be learning all the things in my first year or second year of the college. So that's how it actually came into a relation.
That was amazing to hear about your own and career, which was about to get an engineer or a doctor who got into a executive chef. That is corporate executive chef, one among the Tedx speaker and an Awardee. I'm so glad to have you on our webinar platform. And
Thank you so much.
It's all your platform. You want any questions? Any questions?
I can't hear you.
Mute my.
I can't hear you now.
1 second.
Yes, ma'am. It's on.
Yeah. Yes, it's
Gaurav,
audible now.
in fact, it's not a question, it's a compliment, I think even though you felt that you were feeling low, but the fact that you are so passionate about what you are doing just completely came across. In fact, I do create a lot of wastage while styling food. And, a part of me felt a little ashamed about what I'm doing when I was hearing you. But a part of me also became open and acceptable to the idea that because of chefs like you, we can look at a much more sustainable way to grow and flourish as a community.
Exactly.
In fact, I think I'm also developing some business ideas now as I heard you speak. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It was literally like hitting a pot of gold as I heard you.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
And I hope that whatever is causing you to feel internally low, you rise above it and you feel very, very good very soon.
Thank you.
Give yourself to a lot of positive thoughts and good vibes.
Thank you so much. I feel the hope and same for you as well. Thank you.
Gaurav. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks.
you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, Gaurav, Chawla, sir. It was amazing to have you guys on here. And let's get back to sessions of webinar. And the next speaker here, we do have a bakery chef and a master chef, Foody Breaks, Kunal Arolkar, sir. We welcome you on the platform of Planetech Media House.
Thank you so much for having me. Is it audible? Clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
Thank
audible.
you so much. So I'm Kunal. Basically, I'm from Goa, but I was born and brought up in Bombay, and I graduated from IHM Calcutta. So I understand when you say that you were, that you gave an engineering exam and then you didn't get through, and then you went into IHM, because that was the usual trend back then. Was like a lot of my batchmates gave all sorts of exams, and the fun concept was that if you didn't get selected anywhere, you would get selected in hotel management. So that is always the that was always the case with hotel management then, up until I think they started doing the negative marking. So uske baad then everyone started getting ejected automatically. But coming back to me, I was pretty much destined to be a chef from very early on. So when I was in 8th standard, 9th standard, and being from Bombay, we were very fortunate to have smaller academies based in Bombay. Like we had this small academy called Kamat Institute in Goregaon, which was where I used to go for summer training. Because summer training was just fun. I used to study in a boarding school. So it was be great fun coming back to Bombay, hanging out, and then going and working. And a lot of my dad's friends had restaurants, so I would go and do a little bit of working there, whatever, cutting, chopping, peeling, washing, whatever, just to be in the environment, to see what this environment's all about. From there, IHM was the next step. I didn't get through IHM Dadar. In fact, I got a chance to come back to IHM Dadar, but I didn't take it. So I was very happy in Calcutta. And Calcutta was a very nice, and the reason I say Calcutta is because I was in Calcutta and I was not in Kolkata, where it's that's the biggest problem for me. Like I don't say Mumbai, it doesn't come out very easily. I always say Bombay, and I get politically collected a lot of times, but yeah, that's me. Coming back to where, for me, it was very early on that I knew that I wanted to be in this line. I don't know where I fit in. And then when I joined the industry, I realized that I'm not a good line chef when it comes to hot kitchen cooking. I realized that bakery is my area where I like to be in a cold environment, relaxed, AC mein raho, chill karo, which khana banao, and it was all that kind of an environment that I was there. And I started my career with Meridian, Le Royal Meridian in Bombay, under a chef who was quite a hard-hitting chef called Chef Vikas Oswal, but he ingrained in us a lot of a lot of positives, which I till date carry, and I was not in India after that. So immediately after Meridian, I started working with the Universal Group. That's the Four Seasons in Maldives. So then 2 years in Maldives. Now, Maldives was real fun for me because it was island life, and me being genetically from Goa, I loved the sea around me. And that's how Maldives happened. After Maldives, it was I did a stint on a company called Yachts of Seabourn. Yachts of Seabourn was a difficult line to work on, but it's a very enriching experience, because normally when people look at cruise careers, there are five like a big team. So you'll have a massive team of say 100+ people in the kitchen or the galley. But in our kitchen on the Seabourn Pride, we had only three in the pastry. So, and we were running a Gary Rhodes menu. So God bless his soul, lovely menu, but super difficult to do when the ship is rocking. It's really difficult to get those temperatures right, and especially in pastry when you're doing high flown mousses and you're doing sugar garnishes and things like that. It's really difficult. Plus, there would be times where your mise en place would just go out, like you open the fridge and it would just fly out. If you're rolling in pitching, it was a crazy experience. Plus, on top of that, hygiene. So today, when people talk about COVID-19, I think guys who worked on the cruise line, COVID-19 WHO guidelines don't even come close to our HACCP guidelines. I feel so, because I've been practicing this since 2007, when we were hit by another virus on board called the norovirus. So we were always prepped and ready for that kind of outbreak. So I think a lot of that training helps us today to understand how COVID-19 has to be fought in our kitchens as well. And we naturally gravitate towards that. We don't have to be taught or told by somebody to do it. We naturally gravitate towards it. After my career in the cruise line, then I joined Chef Bhatia. So I was fortunately placed in the Geneva property, which got its first Michelin star in 1 year. Within the 1 year, we got a Michelin star, our first star. And it was a massive experience getting the star and then retaining it. But you burn out. In a Michelin environment, you are working 18 hours. It's a lot of work. I mean, if you like the environment, yes, definitely. But at some point, you will burn out. Or you will just get cranky and, people, you'll start, getting angry and pissed off at people, that have got nothing to do with your life. And that's the sad part. So after Michelin happened, then I realized that I want to do something different, give back to humanity and this and that. So I tried to come back to India and try to do some work here. That's when we launched Foody Breaks. But, as luck would have it, at that particular point in time, I got a break in Africa. And that was one continent that always, always fascinated me. Africa mein jayenge, Africa mein kya hai? Because all the while I had been to the US, I had been to most of North America, Canada, parts of Mexico. I had been to Australia, I had been to Europe quite a bit. And then the only continent that really had this charm for me was Africa. And I wanted to go to Africa. So I went to this place called Zanzibar. Now, in hindsight, that is the best place to go in Africa because it is not, it's not as difficult as parts of West Africa. But it's one of the easier places where, people are very chilled out, they're very relaxed. And what really fascinated me was that there's a humongous Indian population, of which around 20% of the Indian population is Goan. So they spoke my native tongue, which is even more fascinating for me. In Africa, people are speaking, Konkani, and it was really nice and it was really homecoming sort of. After Africa, I came back to India again. We started consulting. We started doing work, in different, I would do whatever I could do just to get some experience about how the Indian market is. Bakery and pastry is a very difficult area to be in. If you're not in an urban setting, I feel people still are very happy with their Black Forest and chocolate truffle and pineapple cake and stuff like that. They don't really want to experiment with flavors and textures. I think if you're coming from an urban environment, maybe they're experimental, but in a rural environment like, I don't say Goa is rural, but in a semi-urban environment like ours, we don't really have that openness towards, these particular products. And that was where I was trained. So I realized that, let me take the long shot, let me take the long step and educate people about these products. Then they can take a qualified decision on that, whether they would like to go with something that's traditional or something that's very contemporary. So that's the reason why we created the academy. Once we created the academy, it generally took, organically it grew. People started liking it. People started coming for our courses, and then from 2015 onwards, we've been doing courses in Goa. And it took us a while to kind of get courses out. Initially, people were a little hesitant, were not used to a guy chef because they were probably, before I came into the picture, there were, homemakers who were doing classes, and me coming to picture was like this chef guy, maybe we'll not understand his language and, maybe we'll not get to know who he is. And, there's a big barrier, I think, in people's minds in general. And so that's what I think a lot of people got, initially that's what we had to break. It took us a year to break that. And then after that, when people are getting to know us, getting to know the academy, we then took up, the City and Guilds accreditation. So that's naturally what happened after that. So now we're like a qualified approved center for City and Guilds, and we conduct a diploma program. So this has grown very organically for me, for me, from my stage one till today, we've been very organic in the way we've done things. And I try to instill that in people I meet and in people that we wanted to, that we meet on a regular basis at the academy or, throughout as well. What we tell them is don't be very fast, try to be very fast in your career. don't try to fast pace or fast track your career, because it's, it will burn out at some point if it's, if it's meant to. I think what I do is I'm like the slow burn kind of a guy. So I do some things, which are, which I have like a 3-month goal, a 6-month goal, and then a 1-year goal. And, by grace of God, we've been able to achieve all those goals. But we are very slow. So we keep a very slow pace because our market is very slow. If I was based in a city like Bombay, for example, I would have a very different approach to my business. But in Goa, we had to be, we had to become a household name. So that was what we focused on. We focused on developing ourselves as a household name. And people knew me, or they knew the bakery, or they knew somebody. So it was not like they're trying to call a corporate thing. Like in Bombay, you would try to achieve a corporate setup where you're trying to get in touch with a person, and then they put you onto a like a helpline number and stuff like that. So kind of create a system for it. But in Goa, we try to break that. So we try to create a one-on-one kind of a concept where I'm available on WhatsApp most of the time, or someone from our bakery or from the academy will be available on WhatsApp. So people could ask doubts and ask questions post the session. And that's what actually got us going in our market scenario. So I felt that was very, very important for us to start off with. Currently, with the COVID-19 situation, we were our academy, our trainers, we weren't very adapted to doing sessions online. So we were very scared. I was massively scared about doing stuff online because as a trained pastry chef, if I didn't see it or do it in front of a mentor or a trainer, I couldn't really have an effective learning for me personally. So that's where my misgivings were kind of based in. And sort of after we realized that, we did one session and then we did another session, and then we realized that people are really picking it up just by the sessions itself. So we really went into full explanation mode on our online sessions, and that's how we are where we are today. So I think what COVID-19 has done for our industry is, although I don't look at the negatives that much, and I look at everything from a positive angle. I see a lot of people who are not meant to be in the industry, who had a lot of money and just kind of enter the industry, bash their way into the industry, are now gone because now they don't see any money. So they're going to become probably industrialists, or going to another line where they see money coming. I never equate this line with money. So if there's anyone watching who thinks that I'm going to become a chef and make money, that's absolutely bad idea. Don't get into this line. There are quicker ways to make money. YouTubers make more money than than we can ever. Even on despite having a successful business and being a YouTuber, you can still not make enough money like probably a Bhuvan Bam or one of the famous YouTubers like a Carrie Minati. I mean, for me, the reason why I say don't look at money when you get into this line is because it will fizzle out at some point. You won't be able to equate it. It's just too demanding. So when you are looking at a demanding career like this, you have to look at it in terms of your higher calling, in terms of what you naturally gravitate towards, whether you like doing this and you appreciate doing this, or you don't. And for me, baking was a natural extension of myself. So I love baking. I can bake at any time. And I was a trained pastry chef, but a lot of the baking that I do today is so Indianized that my chef trainers would probably disown me. It's a massive difference from what I learned and what I'm actually doing. But it takes a lot of practice to get to get where you are. And a lot of times people come to our courses, do our courses and say, hey, I paid so much money for this course, but I didn't learn anything. I'm like, really, I can't do much about that. Because when you get into any course, and whichever course it is, if you don't have the passion and the drive to actually learn it, no one can teach you anything, no matter how much money you pay for it. That's basically one of the main reasons when I went to learn something. I always put in like 100% into learning, not really attendance, or not really just being there and taking notes down and stuff. Actually learning, seeing what is happening. I was very happy to when chef just mentioned about the mango nectar. So we do a lot of crazy things with in Goa because we have a lot of time. So we do a lot of craziness with nectars as well, especially with jackfruit. Like jackfruit is this one sasta fruit which you get in Goa in plenty in the summer. So we can do jackfruit everything from jackfruit cake to jackfruit this, and it's practically free. Like if you have a car, you can actually drive down to some jackfruit tree and you can ask the owner, can I take 2-3 jackfruits? And he'll say very happily take it, because no one wants there are so many jackfruits. If one jackfruit falls on your car, it'll damage your car. So it's that, sometimes it's that bad, and people just want to get rid of jackfruits. So I think jackfruit is one resource which is going to be our superfood in the near future. I feel Kerala is doing great things with it, but I feel what we should, as a natural extension of being a chef and trying to conserve food and getting into this kind of a structure, I think what you need to do is you need to understand that if you are if you are a chef, you should always look at ways to invent new things out of what you have, and then obviously you can train yourself to be really good with things that you already have, or you can organize for yourself or can arrange. So if it means working with an Indian couverture, yes, go for it. Try out some stuff with it. We don't take for granted that if it's an Indian couverture, it's going to be bad, or if it's a product which if it is a product which really isn't very complicated, it's not going to be fancy. So I don't believe in those terms. I believe in something that's simple, that tastes good, looks very appealing. I think if you can achieve that, then as a chef, you kind of achieved what you set out to do. Just a little note about pastry as a career. So a lot of people come to us and say, what do I do? Can I become a pastry chef? So I always tell them that, see, pastry chef is like the last memorable meal of, pastry is the most memorable meal of your of your entire course of meals. But it's also the most demanding. So when I say it's the most demanding, what I mean is that it's one of the courses of the meal that you can innovate a lot in. At the same time, it needs a lot of passion. So you're working with a different list of elements, a different list of ingredients, and all of that needs a lot of. You need to be a little passionate about what you're doing. And there are two trajectories to being a pastry chef. You can either be a qualified pastry chef that works in a hotel or in that kind of a restaurant setting, a Michelin restaurant setting, or you can be a baker. Now, baker will have a more wider mass appeal kind of approach. More like plain speak, it'll be like the Rajnikant of of our times, and then you'll have you'll have one of the two guys who are like very very choice, very choosy kind of actor who will do only classy products. So you can either be the Rajnikant, or you can be someone like like a Prabhas, for example, who does only one role and then that's it. And so you can choose the way you want to do what you want to do in your career. So there are two trajectories: as a hotel chef or as your own baker. As your own baker, it's very liberating. You can do a lot of crazy things. You can do caterings. You can do so many things in this line. I mean, it's definitely, there's no end to it. I mean, my experience tells me that if you really want to be a good baker, you need to chalk that map out very early on. So make like always knew I wanted to be a baker of my own bakery. So like Payal ji was saying that she wanted to be her own boss. Yeah, so that's hard grained into me, into my family from from 5-6 generations. So we can never be employees. It just doesn't work for us. We're hot-headed and we're basically always pissed off. So it never worked for me being an employee. I was a very bad employee, and all my mentors till date tell me about it. They tell me that it's so difficult to control this guy. But yeah, I mean, today the way things are, I'm still friends with them. So one thing I never did was I never crossed any of my employers, previous employees or my previous bosses, and I'm very proud to say that even the bosses that I started my career with are still today with me, and I can still call them today and still ask them for doubts, or still ask them for any kind of support. So I think that's integrity is very important in being a good chef.
That was amazing to hear about a very good experience about your mentors, and you're the Goa's first city London approved pastry school. That was amazing to get a lot amount of information about the baking skills, about the jackfruit thing, about the seasonings. That was amazing, and I was really mesmerizing and mouth watering when I saw your profile picture of all those cupcakes. I want to taste one of them for sure. I
Always
just
welcome to come to Goa. All of you are welcome to come to Goa.
for sure, sir, for sure. And I do have a one small question for you. The short and sweet answer we expected is saying that you have roamed all around the world, from Europe, Australia, to even to South Africa. What did you like the most dish out there? The most dish in one place, the best one.
For me, there are a lot of things that I like, but the one thing that I cannot get again is like I have not been able to get again is a simple seared grouper which I got, which I have tasted in Maldives. So it was what I caught and what I cooked myself. I never got that again. So we get grouper in Goa, but not like that.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Like self catch, like fishing is something else. And holding and cooking, that joyful. I think no one can experience that.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, learning how to fish, learning how to is a skill. I think people should understand. They might not choose to fish, but it's a very it builds a lot of patience in you. And as a young chef, I think that is required in a lot of chefs. You need to be patient.
Yes, sir. That was amazing to have you upon in the Planetic Media House platform.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes, sir. Let's get back to the webinar. We have a very good speaker on our next. It's yes, ma'am.
Kunal, hi again. So,
Hi.
Kunal, considering that there is this COVID situation, of course, Goa has not been impacted that much. Now, consider a place like Mumbai, and if there was a chef like you in Mumbai having an academy, and maybe this would be a time when he would be getting into an online education, because you have to maintain a social distance and certain decorums and rules set by the government. Do you think that that would at any point in time be a good substitute to the classroom learning that people traditionally have been having?
I don't think so. It's a skill. At the end of the day, it's a skill. So I can't look at a carpenter and learn to be a carpenter. It doesn't work like that. This is a skill where you can teach some things in a remote format, where you can teach your theory, or you can teach some basic things like making, So even if you see the online sessions that we do are so basic, they are very basic, and there's something that people can easily imbibe at home. But if you're teaching a person how to make a sugar, like a pulled sugar art, you can't teach that in a remote location kind of a concept, because it needs a lot of hand holding. So I think any skill driven, any skill for that matter, be it baking or cooking or any other skill for that matter, needs a one-on-one classroom environment, and it needs a one-on-one classroom environment where you don't have 40 or 50 or 100 people in the class. You need to have those 6-7 people that you can kind of educate on a one-on-one basis. I think that's what's required.
Okay, Kunal, thank you. And one more question I have for you. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now, like there are two things I see about myself 10 years from now. The first is we would like to have, we're already working on a kind of an online learning platform. So 10 years from now, we want to be on that, because it's very liberating to be online. You can shoot your videos at any time and then relax 5 days of the week. And that's what Goa is about. So I think so that one of the trajectories that I see myself is going online, definitely. And the other thing that I want to get into and that we are looking at in a very big way is to do dessert catering. So dessert catering, pan India in 10 years, yes, that is definitely on my mind. So these are the two areas I want to get into. I'm not a small bakery, cafe de coin kind of guy who can, I'm not that kind of a guy. I'm Salman Khan. So I just like, sabko khush karo. I don't believe in, being the Rajkumar Rao kind of a, very Methodist actor kind of thing. I'm just the, the Fata poster, Nikla hero kind of a guy. So yeah, that's the way I am.
But
That was
Kunal, you mentioned just a while back that if you want to do something online, there will be limitations as to what you can teach when you get into the field of,
Correct.
right? So this online thing that you were talking about, is it again going to be about bakery education only, or what is it like?
So that is one area where we are kind of digressing. So what we're doing is we are, as an academy, we are currently only doing bakery, but moving forward, we are we are imbibing a lot of, other, other streams. So we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing specialized cuisine cooking. So Goan cooking, or be it, North Karnataka cooking or Konkan cooking, things like that, which are very highly specialized areas of cooking, where people already have the basic knowledge. If you look at a homemaker today, he or she already knows how to cook. They already know that ye chawal hai, isko ubalna hai, or they know how dal hai, usko ubalna. They know the basics. But now, if you tell them that if you you replace one of your spices with this spice, and then instead of cooking it for 7 minutes, cook it for 8 minutes, things like that. If you can quantify, it's a massive prep. It requires a lot of preparation. But I think if you can quantify any skill, it's easily transferable. That's the reason why a lot of chefs in India know how to cook French food. They might not know how to make dal chawal, but they'll definitely be able to make a very good, very good samo fume or something like that. So I think quantifying is the key to going online. So if you can quantify something, then other person can quantify it in the same way, and the transfer becomes easy. So yeah, we do looking at baking, but also cooking, and also other areas that we want to get, but more specialized areas where not only my skill is required, but more chefs will be into the foray. Like we get specialized chefs to come in and do their bit. So I think that's definitely what we have in mind.
Wow. I think on that note, let's just cement our friendship today.
Definitely, and we'll also love to have you over at the academy for a session on food styling if we can afford you. Definitely.
Okay, let's just cut that part. Dhanush, can you please edit that if it's possible?
we will shoot everything, and you guys have to thank Panatech Media House to connecting you guys on this webinar.
Thank you so much for having us. We will go to.
Yes.
It was very lovely to do this. I mean, this is the second webinar I've done, because we've been doing only online. So and I'm very happy to be here. Anything that's required of me, we're very happy to give it. I mean, with working with the government in Goa and everything, very happy to work with them. We don't hold back on any of these events. Thanks so much.
Amazing to hear from you, sir, and Payal, ma'am. And let's get back to the webinar. The Master Chef special. We do have the last speaker, but not the least, is Yash, Batra, founder and CEO of GARNICHE. So we'd love to have you on the stage.
A very good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Planetech Media for having me here. And a small brief about me. I'm a food tech startup founder named GARNICHE. We provide a premium home dining experience at customers' place, in which five-star hotel experience chefs cook and serve in customers' home. And they don't have to get anything from their side. Each and everything is brought by the chef. And it's a home dining experience, bringing the restaurant or hotel to your home dining table. So while I was getting myself ready for this webinar, I was planning that what should I share with you all that adds value to your life, instead of sharing my predictions about the future of hospitality and food tech. Was these chefs are great in that. So I will be taking you through two stories that I grew up listening, and they have made a great impact on the business I'm running. So there was a wealthy man who had every comfort of his life and everything that a person could dream of. But there was definitely a problem. Isn't just life like that? That there is always a but when you are always in the peace. There is always comes that a small but that changes everything around. A small but that changes all the peace and the joy you are in. And the but in his life was that he had great pain in his eyes. So he went from one operation to the other, one specialty to the other, tried everything possible from one to the other. But not only his pain was growing by the time he was getting through all the operations, but also he was getting more and more nervous about it, that when things would get more and more better, they may better for him. So finally he heard about one monk, and he heard that the monk was specialized in curing the people who have these eye diseases or eye disorders. So he happily went to the monk and said that I have this problem. And after analyzing everything, the monk shared one prescription that was a bit strange prescription, but was a great impact to him. So he said, for the coming few weeks, what you have to do is you just have to focus on the green color. So you don't have to just go for any random color. Whatever your eyes goes to, it should be only in the green color. So the prescription was just strange, kind of a Baba thing that just told you that eat this thing and the thing would be better and everything would be back to normal. But the rich man had no other option. So he started, he went to his home, he called a few painters and hired them for a long time. He painted everything into green color. And the few days after that, the monk visited his house. So he saw all the furniture, all the, every piece of art, every floor, every person in absolute green color. And while he entered, his, all the workers that were there, all the servants he had, just poured all the green paint on the monk. So he just laughed out louder that, what the hell are you doing? So he said that you already suggested our owner that he has to look only to the green colors, none apart from them. So the monk said that there are different things to look at, to one of the problems. Everyone has their own perspective. What if you could just buy a green glasses instead of painting everything into green? So it could have saved you a lot of money, a lot of hard work, and that how my perception towards everything changed. So while we were serving great food at customers' plate, we started with just one vision that we want to provide great food at customers' home. But while we were serving, we got to know that people just don't want the great food. They are willing to pay extra and go extra mile to spend those lovely moments with their family. A woman who is working day in and day out, so she doesn't want to cook when she comes back home. So the days are gone when she used to like or love cook and create great stuff in the kitchen and serve her family. But now the days have changed. Everyone wants to go out work and have their own priorities. So that's how the perception changed, and that's how we started rolling and rolling. And in the first year of our operations, we served over 3,000 people, including many celebrities, many HNIs, many embassy people. And we also became the first ever Indian startup to rank 5-star on Google. And that has been never happened with any of the Indian company before. And so that was a small journey that changed everything about it. And the idea that came, the idea is strange. I truly agree that bringing the 5-star hotel Taj chef in the customer's place and bringing the royalty into the customer home, and the different things. The chef used to cook in using great utensils in the kitchen in the 5-star hotels, using the basic utensils in the home kitchen. So a drastic change for the chef as well and the customers as well. So as strange the idea is, and as strange is the story behind the idea. So while we were in the third year, so I graduated in 2018. So while we were in the third year, so we were fortunate enough to have a great trip to Goa. And we saw one restaurant over there. So we were three friends. We went for a trip to Goa, and we saw a restaurant over there who had no waiters, no say cashiers, no one to just serve the food or everything. Then how you place the order for that? How do the food being taken care of, how the guest is taken care of that? So the strange thing or the unique thing that restaurant had was the restaurant had a tab embedded in the table, and you just have to tap on the tablet, and the chef comes from the inside from the kitchen and serves you the food. The logic behind was that the major kiosk in the restaurant was created in every restaurant is created not by the guests, because they're just sitting on the tables and just talking to the ones they have visited, but by the staff that is roaming around and asking for the food. So that just blew up everything. And from there on, this idea came, why not to bring this great experience to customers home, and while the mothers or the ladies just sit and enjoy with their family, and when the perfect food and perfect meal is served by a professional chef right on their table, and without them stepping into the home kitchen. So this was all a bit about Garnish, and that's how this journey started, and that's all. I can't hear you, Kunal.
That was amazing to hear about Garnish, sir.
That's good. Very lovely, lovely. I'm very happy to see that people get a lot of inspiration from Goa. So please
Next time I'm visiting
Everyone has some
Goa,
connection to Goa in this
Goa.
this panel, which is like, I don't know how Dhanush did it, but that's how he did it. Good, very
It's
nice.
just not about visiting Goa as an vacation. It's just about going there and getting inspired and starting his own business. It's just amazing.
Superb.
And really, I really like the parts. A lot of hard work is equal to a lot of success. I really like that sentence from the story which you mentioned about
Right.
the best thing. Other than you're the recent pass out of 2018. How was your college experience being at this Garnish Partners?
So I'm not a chef from a background, from college background or a hospital. I'm not from IHM. So I'm an engineer, right? And and engineers are doing everything apart.
Yes.
So from my second year, so the plan just went through. The journey started when we came back from Goa, and so the first thing that was required to generate a food menu that is loved by every person in Delhi and Delhi NCR. So how to do that? And you're coming from an engineering background, you are just taught how to code, how to build a website, and you have zero knowledge about. To be really honest, I didn't even know about the types of spices that I added in the food while I was in third year, and now running this. So the journey started in every third week of my college. I used to visit all the places, all the famous places in Delhi NCR, whether it's, you can say, Moorsal, or you can say roti kebabs of South Delhi. Then you can say throttle shortle, or you can say any dahi ballas of Chandni Chowk, or you can say the great stuff that is the great Indian authentic food that is built in the old Delhi near the Chandni Chowk region. So building a base menu from there, and from there on we started serving the food that actually loved by everyone in Delhi. And from there on, it was just it was 10% of marketing and 90% of the word of mouth or the customer reference. So I knew that if a customer is having food from Garnish today or service from Garnish today, either he or she is ordering tomorrow again, or any of his or her friend is ordering again. So from serving 2 orders in a month when we started in 2018, now we are serving multiple orders in a day. And as we see after COVID-19, it will be more of kind of a home experience than the people going out for the restaurant. So they would be more particular about the hygiene, or about the quality, about the all the cautious steps are taken about the mask, hygiene, everything. And we see a great thing about this in future.
That was amazing to hear about serving two per day to having n number of multiple orders, and that you also mentioned about you serve 3,000 people, and that also includes celebrities out there. It was amazing to hear about your own company and about you, sir. Any other speakers can have any questions, you can go up.
I have a question for Yash.
Yeah.
So Yash, were you scared at any point in time during this venture, knowing the fact that you actually don't come from the food industry?
I was scared in every 24 hours, I would say. Because to be really honest, out of all the mentors that I have discussed this with before starting it, 80% of them were saying that you're coming from engineering background. This thing has never happened before, and you're entering into a hospitality stuff. You have zero knowledge about it. So what are you planning to build a graveyard for yourself or what? Right. And so that was a kind of journey. So but I had rejected an offer from Twitter. So I was a developer in Twitter. Then I have rejected an offer from Amazon to just start this venture. So it was a great risky thing to start, but now when I think I've seen this before, I look back to it, the everything has to happen some way or the other, and everything just got matched one after the other to reach this place. But the only thing I would say that we have a plenty of time to get fail a lot of times before we get the final iteration right. So talking about the marketing thing, so this was the market which was never created before. People have never heard about a Taj chef coming to the customer's home and cooking and serving, and or having not to step in the kitchen and get great presentation food, a great quality food on the dining table. And so creating a market, so we failed around 17 times before we got that first channel of marketing right for us, and that took around 3.5 months. Now we have around 12 different channels of sales which we get orders from. So it was all about failing and getting to the right step to get this market done, because I knew that this has been not done before. So there's no book to read and just do that stuff. So you have to create your own playbook to go out to the market and get the stuff done.
Wow. Wow.
Like, I think every engineer can do all this stuff, because even I am an engineer, you're an engineer. That happens with the frequency things.
Engineers are all there to solve the problems, right?
Yes, yes. Any other questions, speakers?
I think one point I wanted to make across is we personally encountered a lot of people who are not from this line who get into it,
Right.
and one of the blessing that they have is that they are not boxed in by the rhetoric that chefs tell themselves. So like when I first got into teaching,
Mhm.
I was not a trainer and I was a hot-headed chef. So a lot of people say that so today when a lot of my colleagues from my from my hotel days, they see me handling like a crowd of 40, 50 odd homemakers in like a general session, and people will ask me questions like ये अंडा किधर से आता है, and or they'll ask me मैदा क्यों, can I use rice, or can I get, so I used earlier, back then I would just blow my top for every stupid reason. But now I've become so patient and I've become so relaxed. And I think one of the cool things that I realized with engineers is that they're very patient. They don't have that much hardbody in life, so they're very relaxed and they say, हाँ चलो ये problem है तो इसको ऐसे solve करते हैं, नहीं तो वैसे solve करते हैं. So they have many many outlooks on that one problem. I don't know if it's their education system or that's the way they are. Maybe they're more logical.
Education makes us do that. So in my engineering life, so the things that were taught to us were around 20 years old, and on the product on which we have to practice that has expired 2 years back.
Yeah, that's
that was kind of tough, and we had to get something or the other thing to practice that, so that we get expert into that. And talking about coming to the hospitality background, having zero knowledge and no mentors in the hospitality, although I had few mentors in the tech background because I was into tech for 4 years. So the first advice that my mentor gave was to visit the first 10 customers myself. So while the chefs were cooking for the customers, I was there as a helper, wearing the apron around myself and just serving all the food to the customer table to get exactly what the customers want. So what's the expression coming when the food is being served, or what's the best thing about it, whether it's about the quality, whether it's about the food tasting, or about the cleaning stuff, or how the kitchen is being maintained while you're serving. Because when you're in customer's home, anyone can visit the kitchen anytime. And when you're cooking great food, they would definitely visit the kitchen. Right, how you're cooking stuff and how things going, so maintaining that quality as well at that time. So those all just laid the foundations that would all need to be followed while serving each and every dish. So that also helped us in a manner that today, for just a basic Indian mentality happens that if chef A serves me today, I had a great experience with chef A, and next time my friend is coming, I want the service again, but chef A is not available. Will the chef B would be able to provide the same experience or not? So that risk comes into the customer's mind. So those all the things that we have taken care that irrespective of whichever chef serves you, chef A, B, C, D, up to X, any chef, the quality, taste, and the flavor remains the same. So to reach that was also a great journey, and customers have been really. We have fortunate enough that we got great customer who give us the loyal feedbacks, and that's all. So that's been the journey getting from an engineer to the hospitality sector.
That was amazing to hear about an engineer being a successful chef and then founder of a GARNICHE. It was amazing to have all the speakers around today. Let's get into the session of Master Chef Special. Thank you for tolerating me. This is Dhanush, and thank you for being on the platform of Panotech Media House. Hope you had a great time.
Yep, we did. Thanks so much.
Dhanush, so there's a question that I have from one of the attendees.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say, Chef Payal, how do you think styling can help us generate more sales in the food industry?
Yes, ma'am.
So, see, first of all, we should be aware that anything that we consume in today's date is completely influenced by a picture of pretty food, right? So whether we are eating popcorns in a cinema hall or we are buying a grocery, the picture has a lot of power to influence us. Now, what a pretty picture does is that it gives you an idea that the other person at the other end has taken it taken enough effort and care to make the food look so sumptuous. Now, how do you as a customer respond to that? You do that by buying that particular brand of food. So in that sense, if your picture of food looks pretty, there are higher chances that somebody is going to land up buying it. So exactly that's the role that food styling plays in the food industry. It makes food more sumptuous and gives you the urge to go and purchase it. So I hope that answers the question that that anonymous attendee asked me.
Yes.
And one last thing, we would like to share our social media handles with viewers and other attendees. And we would love if they could follow us on these platforms. So I'm going to leave the links as a message for all of us. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely. We are very simple. We are on Foodie Breaks. So we just do Foodie Breaks. Google it. हमारा ही सब आ जाएगा. So Foodie Breaks is quite simple. FOODYBREAKS. Facebook, it's the same. Yeah. So if you ever need to get in touch, just Google my name. I don't think there are many Arolkars who are chefs. So, so that's yeah, that's another plus point. And if you're anytime in Goa, panelists and anyone, if you guys are anytime in Goa, please do visit us. We don't have any shop front, but I definitely would love to, love for you to interact with our students, or just we can have a dinner or something like that. So
and take one jackfruit home.
Jackfruit. The jackfruit is now the season's gone, so now it's going. Now you'll have like another 2-3 weeks of it, and then the jackfruit will start diluting. So it's the real summer is when you want to have the jackfruit. Like the peak of the heat. That's the time.
That's an amazing session where all the panelists have shared their personal and professional experience to the viewers and the panelists out there. I hope you had a very good time. Thank you for being on the platform of Planetech Media House. Signing off.
Thank you, Dhanush. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye Yash. Bye Kunal. Bye. See ya guys.
Bye.
Bye.